Hi, I'm Jallomoth, curator of—
Get on with it already!
Okay, about 6 months ago, I made a cheesy little video where I asked my viewers what their curse techniques would be. It was fun, and I got to make fun of some of you, which is always fun for me. And just like that, everything was right with the world. I was expecting the video to get a couple thousand views, a few hundred more suggestions, and maybe I could throw together a part 2. But then I blinked and the video had 500,000 views and my Discord server looked a little bit like this. So for any future installments, don't email me, don't call me, don't come by my house, we're done. I mean, just leave it in the comments, okay? Because between YouTube comments, Discord submissions, emails, DMs, people hiding in my floor, I had over 13,000 submissions to sift through, only with the help of one of my henchmen. It wasn't very fun, especially since I was pretty dedicated to at least glancing at every one of the submissions because that's what curators do, soak up information. I didn't want to miss any diamonds in the rough, but I also couldn't read 90% of them because most of you seem to forget the golden rule, short and sweet. In my defense though, half of your suggestions were all just CTs literally already in the video but just said in a different font, and the other half were some combination of time manipulation, light manipulation, kinetic energy manipulation, and friction manipulation. These are boring. Also, I kind of said I was going to factor power into the ranking in the first video, but I really didn't. I don't know why I said that. Honestly, this ranking has almost nothing to do with how powerful these are. It's honestly just how unique and cool they are, with an emphasis on ones that really feel like they fit within the world. I'm not gonna rank the CTs that are actually in the manga, but if I did, Toto's would be the only S tier. Boogie Woogie is so complex in its simplicity. That should be your goal. Seriously, I've had scripts shorter than some of the suggestions that I got. But with no more folly, which of these submissions stuck out to me, for better or for worse? I apologize now for the overwhelming majority of you not getting to see your technique here. From part 1 to part 2, this has gone from a simple little community event to a golden ticket into the Jallo Manor, which wasn't intended and was entirely out of my control. That video only did so well because so many of you guys commented in hopes of being in this video. So thank you, and I apologize if you didn't make the cut. This time, we've got a brand new blank tier list, a clean slate. So let's immediately inject nepotism into this by starting it with one of my Discord mods. Nat's technique is Ionization. The Ionization technique allows the user to superheat their cursed energy to ionize it, giving it plasma-like properties. It can be used as a way to directly scorch with a touch, create plasma whips, or to shoot crescent-shaped projectiles by treating their fingers or arms like the prongs of a Jacob's ladder. Domain expansion, Iron Core Cage. Visually, the domain is the inside of a plasma ball. It simply allows for the technique to beam superheated cursed energy from the central core at any target with a sure hit effect. Take notes, people, because that was pretty quintessential, right to the point, it sounds fun to use, and best of all to me, it fits into the world. We saw the finger bearers do this exact thing, just slinging around cursed energy. It's definitely a niche in the field of curse techniques that I think is definitely worth exploring. I'd say it's a solid A tier, and a great benchmark for the rest of the video. Our next entry, Obscurity, comes to us from user Violet's Maybe. Essentially, the way this technique works is that the user obscures a part of their body from the view of an opponent 10 or less meters away. Then, they're able to manifest that body part somewhere else within that 10 meters. The further away it's manifested, the more cursed energy it will consume. Only one limb can be manifested at once, so no neck snapping or any one-shot kills. If the user is fully obscured, then the CT is unable to be activated. Okay, so I like the concept of this one, but what exactly counts as obscuring something? Like, do I have to stick my hand behind a wall to slap somebody with my ghost hand, or can I just put a black glove on? I'm gonna give this one B tier. I think it has some kinks to be ironed out, but honestly, I do like the idea of somebody holding their hands behind their back to obscure them from sight so the phantom hands can whoop them from mid-range. It sounds dynamic. It's not very powerful, it's kind of just a range extender, but I think that could go a long way if you use it right. Christian Schultes is up next, and he says, I rap, so I feel like an attack based on the subject of a line and the potency based on if it's good or not, call it flow state or something. Okay, Chris, I won't lie, I picked this one to tease you a bit, but the more I dwell on it, the more I realize this entirely depends on the user. Because let's be honest, this could 100% either be the corniest, cheesiest, most embarrassing thing you've ever seen, or we might need to call up the freshman and get this kid signed.
I likes to get my dick sucked while I'm getting high.
I'm gonna have to give this one a C because in the hands of one of the best freestylers of all time, this would be the actual coolest thing in the world, but statistically, Christian, you're probably not that guy. Even the best freestyler in the world is gonna slip up sometimes, especially in a life or death situation, so this just sounds like a very emotionally taxing way to fight. The second Sukuna starts barreling towards you, you're probably gonna default back to the spiritual, miracle, lyrical, spherical, empirical individual, and that's not gonna get you anywhere but your funeral. Next, we go to an entry from Narcivarzavate2511 with Juke. My curse technique would be Juke, which allows you to juke anyone. Its reversal would be the ability to counter any juke. Its domain expansion puts you into the VR game Gorilla Tag, and like Akari's domain injects how to play into the target head, and you cut the target as the lava monkey, and you as a regular monkey, depending on how insane the juke you pull off against them is, the more cursed energy you get. Wow, that is so impressive. I think I'm gonna have to go D for dazzling because I don't even know what to say. You cooked. Other than S tier, which who knows if I'll even get one of those, we've gone our merry way right down this tier list so far, huh? Because of this pattern, I'm very tempted to put whatever is next in F tier. So let's see if my biases will manifest or if Kitsune Fruit will impress me here. Their CT idea is door manipulation. You might think I'd instantly call One Piece ripoff via Bluno because I did that like 20 times last time I did this, but I'll let door manipulation in. Hikari can already do something a little similar, so it's not too far-fetched, plus the Door Lord. But let's see if the fruit here fleshed it out enough. Basically, ooh. Okay, first word is spelled wrong. Okay. Basically, you can summon shutter doors, like to slice something with a sharp door, or just walking into a door vortex and you get somewhere. Now the maximum variant only works for 1 hour, and after the hour you die. This power-up lets you summon trillions of doors. These doors can open pocket dimensions, summon water or flames, fucking summon Maharaga, I guess, for no damn reason. You got that right. And you can just remove limbs by teleporting them to a door. Yes, this is OP, but that's why you die after you use it. Okay. I got my wish, I suppose. This is an F tier. You said it yourself here with this part about it all being for no reason. Also, doors aren't sharp. Also, I don't think you have any idea how big a trillion is. This is just nonsensical and really not in the fun way. Sorry to call you out, but somebody's got to be at the bottom. And this was still good enough to be selected. Like, this is at least interesting conceptually. Thousands of these suggestions were just legitimately unusable, so stand proud. So we've set the stage, sampled our tiers, now it's time to fill them up and see if anybody can actually claim the title of S. I just want to say, I know a lot of you were really waiting for this video, so thank you for your patience while I experiment with some other topics on this channel. To reward that patience, I want to let you know that very soon, around the end of this year, I'll be releasing another JJK video. And my biggest one yet. Bigger than the rankings, bigger than the analysis, and bigger than the icebergs. Now that the manga is over, there is a lot to talk about, and I'm going to do it all in one gargantuan video. It'll be the very next thing on this channel, and I swear you aren't going to want to miss it, so please, hit the bell or just subscribe so you can be there right when it drops. If you want to see it early, that'll be possible too. But stick around till the end to hear more about how, and to know just what you're getting into here. I will fully reveal the video a little bit later, but for now, let's keep ranking. From Kim Casanova, we find the CT Dicey, which allows the user to manifest a d20 dice. This dice determines the effect of the CT. I think they mean die, and I also think they mean effectiveness upon reading the second part. By rolling a number and saying a command, the intensity of the command depends on the number the user rolls. If the user says the command "you will pass out," depending on the number rolled, could either range from being slightly lightheaded to falling into a coma. The drawback of this CT is that since there are so many numbers on a d20, the effects of the CT vary very much. The more powerful the demand, the higher the number has to be for it to have an effect. So if the user said "you will die now," the minimum roll would have to be a nat 20. But a command such as "a knife will appear in my hand" will manifest no matter what, just the size of the knife would be dependent on how high the roll was. If the user continues to roll low numbers, the user will start to experience CE sickness from overuse of CE. I think Dicey is a B. It has the makings of something authentically JJK, constricting your own luck in order to maximize speed and output, kind of like a Binding Pact. I would dial it back with the whole summoning of objects though, because that's something that's incredibly advanced in universe. Bone Man wants Turbine technique. Quote, "I've tried cooking this up for a few years now, but it's essentially the ability to spin and twist things using cursed energy. Or do the same to cursed energy itself. Though I always got carried away with the applications of this kind of technique. Could never figure out the domain expansion though. Guess I'll workshop that later. I did have the idea of a maximum tech being the spinning concentrated CE acting as a drill. I was into Gurren Lagann at the time. Ugh, sorry for your loss. but I'm getting 3 big green flags here that easily secure Turbine as an A tier technique for me. 1. Spinning and twisting using cursed energy is literally something we've seen in the show, which means it's believable. A user deciding to spec entirely into this, honing everything into these 2 actions and it becoming their technique, is cool, and it just makes a lot of sense. The second thing I like is that it's so simple. Spinning and twisting, that's all you have to say. And my 3rd green flag is what you said right here. I always got so carried away with the applications of this kind of technique. That's exactly what you want, a simple technique that opens up an infinite amount of ideas. I'd imagine I'm not the only one that thinks that this sounds so fun to use. If you could spin cursed energy with your mind, you could instantly throw anyone to the ground, or use it for your own movement, increase the energy of every punch you throw, decrease the energy of your opponent's blows. There really is a near endless amount of possibility that this ability unlocks without feeling like it couldn't exist within the world. It's very homogeneous, and it takes the top spot so far for my favorite technique. Will Bone Man be bested, or is A tier the new Bone Zone? If you've seen me rank literally anything before, you probably know just how much I fall victim to the charms of alliteration, so it's very bold of Lawman14 to literally call his CT Spelling Bee and expect it to go anywhere but one place. I do actually think that it is a B tier though. It's silly, fun, and even makes a bit of sense. This curse technique allows the user to create the effect of an onomatopoeia if they spell them correctly. For example, if they were to spell POW, a projectile would be fired at the opponent, or BOOM, a moderate explosion would happen. The longer the word, the more significant the effect. The user can also apply these effects to themselves. For example, if they spelled BOING and applied it to themselves, they would be flung into the air. The technique can also be used on objects. First of all, Moth lore, I'm a spelling bee champion. I destroy. So I understand this weird urge to be life or death validated on your niche skills. Also, chanting to make things happen, that's sorcery, baby. Just like cursed speech, I would want this to have heavy consequences though. For some reason, the idea of someone spelling a word wrong in the heat of the battle and spontaneously combusting, it's entertaining to say the least. You've validated your B tier, Lawman. Much like my technique, Buck the Weasel 902 wants mastery of one of the chains of life. His choice, well, I can summon and control centipedes. The difference is that I'm also able to manipulate their biology with my cursed energy to maximize them for combat, such as giving them sharp shells, bigger size, super speed, etc. The big downside is that after I've created them, they will continuously sap my cursed energy to stay alive until I dispel them, so the more centipedes, the more of my cursed energy is being sapped away from me and the shorter I'm able to keep them up. The manipulated ones also sap more CE than the regular ones. It's interesting because I've thought of so many ways to use centipedes, like sharpening their shells and using centipede swords or centipede shields or summoning centipede kaiju, and being able to shoot centipedes out of my body like bullets and have them roam around my opponent's body to debuff them. So, Buck, the most I can say is that I like this. If I were to rank the canon CTs, Maze would be an A. When I ranked my own technique, I gave myself an A. I think that that is the place to be for competent and fun animal-related masteries, and the spec evolution of centipedes is great. Normally, I really wouldn't like the idea of you creating the centipedes. I would prefer it if you just called to them like Mei does, because cursed energy can't really just create life like that. But, on the other hand, we know that centipede curses exist. Like, that's a thing that we've seen in the show before. So when I read this CT, I'm internalizing it as curses. These centipedes are centipede curses, not just regular centipedes. And honestly, centipedes are the most fitting bug in the world to be subject to curses. Much like how Kurorushi was so strong because cockroaches are so scary to so many people, centipedes are even more so. I like the idea that this CT is kind of a tug of war between all of these centipedes sapping your cursed energy, but also you're kind of subtly gaining cursed energy from the fear that is being induced through them. So it could be kind of self-refilling in a way. It's neat. I like bugs. Did you know that? Next up, an unnamed submission from Wispquick. You and any willing person you are touching are transferred into a mirror world that is almost the exact same as the real world. You have 10 seconds to move and have to send yourself back within those 10 seconds, and wherever you move to will appear there on the real world. If you take over the 10 seconds, you and anyone you take with you will be stuck in the mirror world for roughly 30 minutes to an hour. This world is lurking full of various monsters and other beings or phenomena based on the trapped person's biggest fears. So, I'm like 90% sure you're baiting me with a JoJo stand right now? That seems like a JoJo's fan thing to do, and also I swear I saw Giorno kick your ass a few months ago. For that, I think I'm going to disqualify you from the list. Good try though. At first, I was gonna have this whole section of the video where it was just me reading CTs and systematically breaking down how you just reverse engineered a stand, a devil fruit, or a literal pre-existing technique already in the series, but it felt like a big contrived waste of time after like 20 seconds of thinking about it, so you're lucky I decided to follow my own advice and keep this as short and sweet as I can. I've had to artificially shorten like most of these, so if you're like, why didn't he painstakingly explain my domain like I did? I'm doing us both a favor, pal. Okay, next. Oh, domain-based technique. You open your domain, and all of the opponents and yourself will be put in a minigame where your opponents control their souls to not get hit by pre-preppered addicts like a laser or bone coming out of the ground from you. By the way, it is all in 2D. If you defeat Simone in a fight in your domain and you can collect their souls, and as soon as you get 7 souls, you can Simone a spawn point that looks like a yellow star, and a very time you touch it, and everything happened until that, to the point that you touched it so that if you die, you just spawn where the yellow star is like saving and loading in a video game, but everyone you interacted with or talked or fighted against will keep a VAG memory of you, so that when you basically die, reload to the last time you've touched one of the stars, it will not fully erase everything that happened. The means, if you fight Simone 100 times, they can add a pet even when you respawn, a bit like Undertale. Wow, well said. Well said, Daniel. Now, I would adore to put this lovely Undertale curse technique in S tier, but unfortunately, Daniel, you forgot to name it, so I'm gonna have to keep it right here in the meantime.
Know your fucking place, trash!
CT, the death of Slim Shady. When the user uses this, they will start as Slim Shady. The attacks will be more wild, erratic, and hard to predict. Phase 2 of the CT, the user metaphorically kills Slim Shady, transitioning from chaos to precision in this focused mode. He has a total control over his cursed energy and attacks with surgical precision. His strikes become sharper and more strategic, utilizing all of his past experiences and skills without the hindrance of his alter ego's instability. Final Gambit. When Slim Shady dies, it will send out a burst of cursed energy at whoever they are fighting. Domain expansion. Rap God's Realm. The faster the user raps, higher the rank they will get, slowing whoever they are fighting down. Faster the user raps, slower they are fighting, the user moves like at normal, so making a semi-sure hit effect or even accelerated speeds if rapped fast. Faster the user raps fast, the user can go to the user words materialize into tangible forms, creating physical attacks, traps, or barriers. This is my job. Mr. McGodly _ 15,244, I can't even defend you as a joke, man. What is this? Consider reaching out to me online if you want commission work done, because I would much rather draw for money than have to keep doing whatever this is. I used to make documentaries on this channel, you know? That shouldn't be hard to follow, but let's see if Hello This Is My Name can impress me with their CT, Prehistoric Power. Description. This technique grants the user various powers based on prehistoric creatures and events, as well as any phenomena commonly associated with the prehistoric era. The main application of this technique is beasts of times past. This allows the user to transform partially or entirely into various dinosaurs/prehistoric reptiles. Partial transformations can only change a maximum of 3 body parts, such as gaining a tail, their arms becoming wings, gaining claws, or having improved senses. Full transformation does exactly what it says, turns you into a full dinosaur/prehistoric reptile. This ability is more situational as it requires more cursed energy, and you may lose out on various human advantages, such as having opposable thumbs and being able to fit into tight spaces. In order to transform, the user must say the name of the creature they wish to transform into, and can only choose features from a single dinosaur/prehistoric reptile. Hello This Is My Name then goes on to break down some of the different abilities of the different dinos, but I was honestly checked out before I was even halfway through reading that. Curse techniques aren't really like this. They aren't Zoan devil fruits. They can't just make you a dinosaur. Everything in this series has a vague explanation attached to it. For instance, Amai can summon sugary sweets, but to do this he has to use the sugar from his body. Blood manipulation is using blood as a medium. Curse speech uses words. Megumi uses shadows, etc. Everything is done strictly with cursed energy and the organic mediums of the sorcerer themselves. You can't exactly just losslessly summon an entire dinosaur body. I understand that you're saying that you're fueling it with cursed energy, like I know that's your logic, but cursed energy cannot be vaguely applied like that. Like I said, you need some kind of medium unless you have the construction technique, and even then your painstaking knowledge of the materials is kind of the medium. I'm gonna give Prehistoric Power a D, because I think it has no place in this world at all, but I'm not a monster, I can't put Dino Powers in F even if it does make no sense. Next, imagine a technique where once per day you can expend all your CE to make a mannequin copy of your physical body. They wouldn't do anything on their own, but they duplicate any weapons/items you have on you, and you can swap your soul into them at any time. So with enough prep time, you can become a one-man squadron or escape any fight if things start to go south. Call the domain expansion Multitudes of the Empty Self or something, and have its sure hit technique be surrounding your opponent with every single mannequin you have available. Anyways, Fire Video Mothman, Degis_E. Degis, I'm gonna have to give you a C, but let me explain. I think this has some potential to move up to a B or even an A with some reworking. Firstly, I think duplicating what you're holding is too powerful and leads to too many confusing scenarios. Second, I think you should just be able to imbue your soul into anything, not just a mannequin. Third, I'm kind of lost as to the whole squadron thing. You can only control one of these at a time, so if you can't beat someone with the first few mannequin 1v1s, it's probably not going to be better for you to just keep running at someone over and over again. Depending on how far away you are, this could be a huge pain in the ass. You could be spending much more time driving back and forth. It is a nice sort of escape though, like if Sukuna killed you, you just wake back up in your actual body and have to go grab another mannequin and do another ritual to send another one out. It has potential, but it's also just kind of disposable bodies. Nobara could put you down in one hit. Following that, we have third time's the charm. Basically, every third time I go for an attack, it will hit. The domain expansion would basically be invisible, but convert every third hit is guaranteed into a 1/3 chance for every attack to do ×3 damage. After that, there will be a 1 in 33 chance for it to be 33 times damage. The damage multiplier will keep rising until the streak breaks, where it will go back down to ×3 damage. From Waffles. I know a lot of people out there may be adverse to these kind of combo or stat related CTs, but I don't have the same disposition, if they're done well. I like the gimmick of this one, so I'm leaning towards B. I just think it needs some kind of hook. It needs a downside. Like, when your technique is active, every third hit will connect, but only when it's active, so you can throw people off. And also, maybe there should be some sort of blowback effect where the more times you've been hit, the higher likelihood that one of your attacks will hurt you as well. I don't know, it just needs some kind of stakes because at the moment it just feels like slightly too much of a direct upgrade. This kind of sorcery is all about sacrifice and vows, so if you aren't offering something, sacrificing something, risking something at least, it doesn't feel complete. Also, I would change the CT's name to the Rule of Thirds. Your maximum should be third times the charm, and then your domain should be the trifecta. Although this is JJK, so it would probably be trifecta of the Serenading Saraswati or something else over 30 characters. Not me though, I'll give you one letter and one letter only. B. Another stat-based CT that caught my eye was Depane 004's Combo Buster. Once activated, your CT will be more fiery. Every 10 hits on a foe will result in double the damage being done. If a single blow is not dealt on a living foe in 5 seconds, then the combo is ended and the damage is back to base. It's another standard combo one without much really standing out, so I'm probably gonna say C. But I think it could easily be B if you played more with the first thing you said about your CE having a fiery trait. I think if you explored the idea of chaining hits to fuel the fire, that could be really dynamic, powerful, and interesting. Giant the World Ender 914 says, I have one I've been dying to talk about. It's called Forced Perspective, and it would allow me to interact with items/people based on how big they look from my perspective. Basically that head-pinching game everyone used to play as kids, but more versatile.
I crush the alien. Well, I crush the alien. I crush the alien.
It would be more powerful the further my target is. If my opponent attacks the space where they perceive my hand to be, I'd get a proportionately sized cut as to what said attack looks like in comparison. My domain expansion would just extend this power to my eyelids. If you're in my line of sight and I blink, you're fucked. So I'm torn here. I love the concept down to the domain. This is basically if superliminal was your power, I dig it, but I just don't really think it has much of a place in Jujutsu Kaisen. It's a really cool ability, I just don't think it's very congruent with what we know is possible through cursed energy. Like if you squeeze your fingers together and crush someone's head, What was the medium? What did the cursed energy travel through to kill the person? It's like a Bluetooth kill. That level of projecting imaginary damage isn't really a thing cursed energy can do. I think this could be a 10 out of 10 power in a different series, but since we're ranking curse techniques, I think the highest I'll go is C. Quartz Hearts is up next with their horned CT, which would let them create horns, etc. Bull horns, goat horns, or a rhino horn, on my head that let charge super fast in one direction. I would also have the strength of the animal whose horn I have, so I don't get weighed down. My domain would be Stampede, that would transport anyone in it to a large tunnel that goes on infinitely, where a herd of bulls that have extremely damaging horns will rush towards them, forcing them to run away as long as possible while I am riding on top of one bull trying to lasso them. If I do, they will, if weak enough, die from the bulls stepping on them. The domain is cool. I think I'm gonna have to unfortunately call D tier though, because I'm legitimately so just confused on if this would be possible or not. For some reason, the idea of spawning an organic element like horns from a regular animal through cursed energy just makes no sense to me. Having different horns you can swap between is a really cool concept. I really quite enjoy it. I just don't really think that it's all too possible. Let's look at curses' relationships to organic matter real quick. Mei can summon birds, but definitely not spawn them. Not even curses like Kurorushi have the ability to create life. They don't create cockroaches, they just summon them. Hanami makes flowers bloom, but once again doesn't directly spawn plants. This is why when anyone has a CT involving creating animals or any kind of life, I immediately disregard it. Mahito could have given himself horns, and so could Yorozu probably, but those are both edge cases which should be ignored. They should not define what the average sorcerer should be able to get away with. What I'm getting at here is that I don't think it's really possible to just spawn deer horns with cursed energy. The closest thing to this would probably be Angel's wings, but we don't even know what that's about, and it's more likely that it's the wings of a curse than the wings of an earthen animal. So here's my advice. If you want this CT to be A tier, all it takes is stop trying to make them human or have anything to do with animals or earth. They're curses. Curses and animals are a lot alike, but they're also an entire dimension apart. We even see a really powerful charging horned bull curse. Just have your powers be more like Ino's, where you call upon different spirits' powers to get their cursed horns. I think simply detaching it from humanity a bit really makes it feel like it fits in. But as it stands, I'm gonna say D. Man, I really need to pick me up, but there's only one left. Greasy2483, please, save me from this hell. Their CT is called Liar Liar. Whatever you say manifests, if someone believes it. It's a spin on how you explain your CT to make it stronger. Wait, that's it? That's awesome. That's awesome. That's S tier. Greasy, I was not expecting this from you, but you are the underdog, nay, the savior of this video. Things were getting dire, but I genuinely love this power. Does this exist somewhere else in media? It seems so simple and easy to implement into a story, but I've never seen gaslight manifestation before in anything. I adore the idea. Can you imagine Usopp having this? Stupid bullshitters are one of my favorite types of characters, and my mind just runs wild with all of the situations this kind of power could get the user into. And you said it yourself, it has a precedent in the world of the series. Exposition and knowledge are key parts of how cursed energy and curses work. So playing off of that niche in the system is another thing that just made me fall in love with this submission. It is genuinely fun to just think about, and that alone is enough to put Liar Liar in S tier. And if you're curious as to how it compares to the last video, here's both charts put together. It's a little crazy that after 13,000 submissions, the only two things that could truly impress me are gaslighting and gambling. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'll make another one of these, so feel free to comment your CT down below. I did actually have more fun doing this than I thought I would, so who knows. But I'd really like to start a new era on this channel soon, and I'd like to mark the end of where we're at now with something special. My next video. My most ambitious project yet. So here it is. The missed potential of Jujutsu Kaisen. Like I said, subscribe because you aren't going to want to miss this. And if you want to watch it early, like Hoops McCann, Noisy Pitta, and Rafael Ramos, head to Jallomoth.com and become a patron. Or if you want to support me more directly, reach out to me on Twitter or Discord and commission me to draw you a profile picture or something. I won't bite, I promise. I don't have a mouth. Here's a commission I did the other day of a bunch of custom curses for JJK. I had a blast, so get a commission from me while they're open. Subscribe, hit the bell, leave your CT in the comments, commission my artwork, tell somebody you love them, get excited for the missed potential of JJK. The script is like 50 pages, I'm panicking, and as always, stay curious.